This is the All Rev'd Up podcast, and this is season number 5, episode number 6. And yesterday, I voted. I'm Reverend Emmett Price.
And I'm Reverend Irene Monroe.
Irene, did you vote yesterday?
No, I didn't. I voted way before yesterday because I was worried about voter intimidation.
All right. But you voted. You voted.
Oh, I sure did.
All right now. Irene, before we talk about elections and all the craziness that surrounds them in 2022, let us thank each of our listeners and viewers. Thank you for listening to us on the various podcast apps and for watching the actual live recording of the podcast on our YouTube channel. We are grateful for your support, your encouragement, your feedback, your reviews, and your comments. Thank you so much for sharing the podcast with others.
And I would be remiss if I didn't send my tsunami of thanks, as well as a tsunami of thanks to our magnificent producers, Kyla Wright and Cavante Small.
Hear, hear. As we wait the result of a few national elections, I wonder if our democracy has lived to see another day. In some of our national precincts, there were a number of record metrics, and in some other places, midterm elections were unsurprisingly low. What is clear is that this is one of the most polarizing elections in my lifetime, even as a midterm election. What is also clear, Irene, is that former President Barack Obama is fond in a mug, Detroit style.
I have to admit that sometimes going out on the campaign trail feels a little harder than it's used to. Not just because I'm older and grayer.
Irene, what you think about that?
He is fine as a mug. Oh my God. And we need some levity, particularly in this midterm election. You know, Emmett, you asked me, did I vote? And I have to get back to my fear of violence, of political violence, particularly what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. And again, my prayers and thoughts go out to the entire family. But, as I was thinking about this, I said to myself, my God, Black votes have always been suppressed from the 3/5 compromise to present day, whether we're paying poll taxes, the grandfather clause, look, literacy test, dividing minority districts. We have always had to deal, it's sort of part and parcel of disenfranchising Black voters. And so when you ask me, or you asking the audience as well, is our democracy on the line? It has always been on the line, and every election is important. I'm quite elated that this midterm election, Obama with his fine mug is getting us out to vote, because the truth of it is this: there was some lethargy about it. We really needed an injection of him, to sort of rev us up. No pun intended here, but because the truth is, I'm going to tell you, if we didn't have early voting, I don't know if I would have went to the poll yesterday, because I have fear of being, accosted. So I think if we see a surge, we have to indeed give it to our brother Barack.
Absolutely. I am a registered independent for the last probably 22 years. I did vote for President Obama twice. Very proud of it. And, if you would have told me what you just said, Irene, about having fear 20 years ago, I would have thought that you were weird. I would have thought that you were being outrageous and being exclamatory and just really, being above and beyond, the reality. But you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I just think about folks who need courage right now, particularly when you live in precincts that are differential to your embodied real experience. Many of us Black folks, particularly those of us who have a little tad of money, whether it's paper or coin,
I ain't got no
Um,
money.
you,
Okay. I just
you
want
know,
the audience to know I ain't got no money. Okay.
we live in these neighborhoods where we are clearly other, and as you
And
have stated,
caged and say caged
well, in case,
by a
but
white gaze.
as you have stated before, where we are not welcomed,
That's right.
where neighbors would put signs out that says Black Lives Matter to make sure that when the melee happens, that nobody messes up their pristine property. So I hear you on the fear of threat, particularly around bodily harm. This is a
Hmm.
real thing now that we have an anxiety around. This is absolutely horrible in 2022 when we're supposed to be making so much progress.
Yeah. But you know what, Emmett, I appreciate you, being sensitive to my fear here. But I tell you what got me out, a couple of things. I'm a child of the civil rights era. So I can never forget Fannie Lou Hamer, and
Hmm.
her dauntless fight, for Black Americans to have the right to vote here. And I got to also remember the Freedom Summer, or what they
Yes.
had called the Mississippi Summer Project of 1964, the whole voter registration drive aiming to increase the number of registered Black voters in Mississippi. And so, and then I can't forget, again, being quite, a child and impressionable, loving Shirley Chisholm. So I'll get out to vote. But I'm very glad that I had a safe way to vote, particularly since I had passed that window to cast in my ballot. But the question that it raises to me is that why? I mean, why do we always face this? It's gotten worse because of Donald Trump. But listen, let's remember this. Reconstruction gave us 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. 13th, freeing us from slavery. Okay? I mean, 14th, making us a citizen of the United States. And then the 15th, allowing brothers to vote. Then let's not forget the Voters' Right Act in 1965. So why? I mean, I just keep, there's a certain level. I have to say, and this is the day after everybody's been up, all night last night, waiting for the results. So you don't hear me as animated as I usually am because I'm fatigued. Okay. Okay. And I needed my cocktail juice to keep me going. But the point is here, why? Listen, I've been around. Why is it always this? And then the thing that gets me, and I have to raise this to you, Emmett, because you and as well as our producers, Kyla and Cavante, are the future here. Why do we two things? Put all of our eggs in one basket. And
Hmm.
so that when you have someone like a Herschel Walker, I mean, because against Raphael Warnock, we're shocked. But then again, we got to ask that question: are we playing this chessboard properly?
Well, Irene, let me do this real quick. Today, let me declare, I'm not talking about, and I'm be purposely put these three individuals in the same category, in the same camp. I'm not talking about Herschel Walker. I'm not talking about Kanye, Ye,
Oh
and I'm
yeah,
not talking
yeah.
about Kyrie Irving. I'm not talking about the three of them. I'm putting them out all in the same camp. So let me get back to the program that we're talking about here. There's something about white fear that
Hmm.
has permeated the atmosphere, particularly since President Obama won the first time. When he won the first time, there was this sense of, oh my goodness, these black folks have done the unthinkable.
That's
But
right. The Tea
God,
Party
um,
gave rise
I
then.
mean,
That's right.
but my goodness, when he won the second time, I think that's what kind of served as a catalyst for the rise of not only um, Trump, Trumpism, but that virus that is perpetuating them that would suggest that this nation has always been and should always be a white supremacist nation. It's that virus that suggests that the white supremacy that has always underlurked and undergirded society now is projected and is out front. And these folks believe that they have onus and ownership over this nation to the point where they can say that we want an all-white nation, and to go to the next lane and talk about anti-white racism. I
But you
mean,
know
my
what?
goodness.
But two things. I certainly agree with you about. I think the second time Obama got election, because I think the first time many thought, oh, this is a fluke. But then again, it did give rise to the Tea Party. So let's give that. But the second time is quite interesting because he lost a substantial number of white voters. It
Yes.
actually was black voters that got that brother to the
Black
finish
women.
line.
Black women.
That's
Let's call
right.
it.
That's
Let's
right.
call it.
Well, see,
Black
that's
women.
why I keep saying
Yeah.
we put all our political cachet in the Democratic Party. And I need you to say I wasn't talking about Herschel as and Raphael as much as I just think in terms of moving forward we need to diversify, our portfolio, our voting portfolio. We really do need to diversify,
Yeah.
okay, so that they don't put out jackasses, that you just it's just reprehensible. You can't vote for. But the thing is this here. I think what I think, and it's interesting because we like to say that it's Republicans. It was really it was really the Northerners that gave us the 3/5 vote. Okay, the 3/5 compromise here. So I don't care if you're liberal or you're just a straight up Bull Connors rabbit racist. There's something about the power, economic power and voting power that that white people fear, and they have tried every method in the book to disenfranchise, but yet, as Maya Angelou say, and still we rise, we
Still we
come.
rise.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
And still we rise. I mean, she said a whole lot, but we're gonna rest on that one, and still we rise. This is the All Rev'd Up podcast. We'll be right back.
Sometimes it be hard to sell because it ain't nothing changing for these people. As much as we push,
vote Republican and vote something new and give us a chance.
This is the All Rev'd Up podcast. We're back. The first clip that you heard was from the Amber Ruffin show, and this latest clip that you watched or heard was from DW News, where the brother says, "Vote Republican, give us a chance." Irene, vote Republican, give them a chance. What do you think?
Well, listen. I'm glad we're getting back to my question here because I do wonder: do we squander our political capital by being so strongly aligned to one party? And the reason why I say that because as Democrats right now, I feel like we're going to a knife fight with a slingshot, really. And I think that we've seen over and over again, party over people. Even with the Democrats. I do, and I feel two things. We can't change the dialogue in the party, meaning Republican Party, if we're not in the room. That's number one. Clearly, there's a gender divide where I think where Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. We can't say that about brothers. And so, and so I pose this question to you. You're an independent, and I wonder, are you an independent because neither party really speaks to you, but you're not like me, this diehard, Democrat since I've been 18 years old, and I ain't gonna tell you how many years that is, and don't you tell the audience, okay? But I made my point as to why, but so I do it. I do it out of habit. I do it even though I have to hold my nose and I don't like every one of them. But so I do it. It's almost like religion. Some things you just do it because you just been indoctrinated to do it. I feel like you might be a more thoughtful voter than I am about it because you're younger. And Black men's issues are always on the ballot, or Black men's lives are always on the ballot. Depending on how the country votes. So yeah, I do think, like the brother says, give the Republican Party in this way a chance in terms of if we have more Black voices in the room, we can change the dialogue. Now let's remember Jackie Robinson, who we all love, was a Republican. Condoleezza Rice, well, not so much, but we love Colin Powell. Okay, I mean, okay, and look, Michael Steele. We have tremendous respect for him. Clarence Thomas, well, no, not so much. Well, not at all, actually. But my point is, I want to know what you think. Tell me,
Yeah, I
work
mean,
with me.
I'm an independent because one, I think that both parties take people for granted and don't aspire to inspire. So they don't aspire to inspire people to want to recommit to the values and the virtues of the party. I am a fiscal conservative. I am progressive in terms of social, cultural, and community ideas, and so I don't fit squarely within the Democratic fold. I certainly don't fit squarely within the Republican fold, particularly with some of the ludicrous behavior that I've seen, being spewed by, folks, not only the QAnon and conspiracy theories, but also just the inhumane treatment of individuals with the wall and with the whole immigration policy, with Roe v. Wade, with
Yeah.
affirmative action conversations. So those things I can't get with on that platform. I just
But you
can't
know,
I can't
Emmett,
get with that.
but in many ways, you hold one of the fundamental principles of a Republican, okay, which is fiscal conservative. And a lot of times, many of the blacks that I know now, that are Republicans, are fiscal conservatives here. And the reason they tell me, because I go get into this long conversation, why and they stick with the Republican Party because they stick with the ideology. It's beginning ideology. It's old ideology. But the point about it is a lot of these people are businessmen that I know. Another thing is that they are very much about self-reliance. And their argument about the government is that the government has never done anything for them, even in their sort of their programs like affirmative action, or even passing certain legislations like Brown versus Education. Affirmative action, white women benefited from it. They intentionally rolled out Brown versus Board of Education. That today there are two things here. Even though we're still not integrated. Number two, we had more black businesses during segregation, and a lot of these people were Republicans, than we do now in an integrated period. Number two, we have more of us went to and still do go to historically black colleges. We have our producers are still young examples of that. More black educated professional people come out of the historically black colleges, out of that whole understanding of self-reliance, being fiscally conservative, and many at the time, Herman Cain, no matter what you think about him, a Morehouse graduate, and own a huge chain of pizzas, okay? No matter what you thought about him. He's gone now. He's gone now because of COVID, unfortunately. But the point is, some of the stuff he said I agreed with. It's about self-reliance. We can't rely on a government that has subjugated us and continue to, no matter what, always find ways of voter suppression. So that's all I'm saying. That I think that for brothers, I mean, there's clearly a gender divide here. We meaning women will go Democrat, but I do think brothers think about this in a very different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we think about it in a very different way. You're absolutely right. I think the other thing is many of our black families who are military families inherently are Republican as well because of the association with the military. So you get these various nuances, and everyone has their own reasonings. But with what I see in the Republican Party now, with the white supremacist ideology, with the white evangelical ideology, with the
And
Trump
Christian
ideology, the
nationalism,
Christian
yeah.
nationalist ideology, the nationalism ideology, and all of that, I can't get down with. I can't even give you a taste on that. I mean, I can't get down
Okay,
with that.
but I do feel this. So the question is, where do we go from now? Redux here.
Here you go with the redux.
How do we heal? And the question is, it's just not even about the Republican Party, but it's also about the entire country. Have we gone so close to the precipice that we can't come back? And that concerns me. I was hoping that when Donald Trump did win, there were a lot of what we call old Republicans, not in terms of age, but the historical Republicans in a way, the Colin Powell, Michael Steele kind of Republicans. I thought they were going to splinter off and develop another kind of conservative party or whatever, something. But my point is here, you're right. The question is, are we too far gone? But the point is, let's be honest here. The Democratic Party don't do us any service any more than we know that the Republican Party is not going to do.
Yeah,
I feel like we're knocking on a door that is only partially and tokenly open.
Yeah, I think on both sides is going to be interesting. I mean, you saw, again, before yesterday's election, you see Trump going after DeSantis, you see Trump going after McConnell, and these are some of the Republican voices that actually helped to lift him up.
Right.
I can see, Trump is certainly out of alignment with the old Bush family, with the old Reagan family, with some
Cheney,
of these,
and I don't
Cheney
like
family,
Cheney. Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
And then I think on the Democratic side, I think, when we think about, Black women and the power and the agency of Black womanhood, I think there needs to be another space, because as much as we have more Black women for elected office, particularly for governors, senators and congressional women, we need more. We just need more. And so in that sense, I hope that as we move forward, two things will happen. One, that we will disassociate ourselves with a binary system of polarization, that there are other entry points for potential electeds. And then two, that we understand that the power of vote does not mean necessarily agenda or platform.
Right,
and I think we need to get to the place of absolutely just voting. Even if you leave certain things blank because you don't want to participate
on
in
your ballot.
on your ballot, at least show up, right? Because people gave their lives so that we can have the privilege.
And continue.
Yeah, and people continue to, absolutely.
Continue to give their lives. But this is what I think, that, we lose the opportunity to have some stellar folks run for office for a couple of reasons. Some is the intimidation. Some is the elitism in both parties. We gotta own that. That's number one. But we need to put a cap on campaign finances here, because why else would Donald Trump? I mean, he wins because he has the money to run. And I think that to me, when we ask this question here, what is happening to democracy, we should have asked it even sooner, when we were throwing millions and millions of dollars at candidates, that your most qualified candidate, it's not allowed to run because you have to have money to run, upholding a bankrupt capitalist, voting system here. So that was why we don't have as many people of color. We don't hear the number of voices of brothers that we should hear, because see, I would love to hear more from that brother in the clip about. He said, give it a chance. I would like to sit down and say, why? Tell me why. How do you see change? How do you bring that strong voice that I hear coming across the screen here into a white Republican Party or something other?
Well, you have every opportunity. We're going to find that brother so you can talk to him. But while we are looking for him so you can talk to him, let me get this final word out. Irene, in the Webster's Encyclopedic Unabridged Dictionary of the English Language, you remember these big old red dictionaries, big fat ones like this one here?
Mm-hmm.
This is the new revised edition, and the word vote is registered as a noun, and a verb. As a noun, it is a formal expression of opinion or choice, either positive or negative, made by an individual or body of individuals. Another entry suggests a collective expression of will as inferred from a number of votes. As a verb, the Big Red Book suggests to express or signify will or choice in a matter, as by casting a ballot. An alternate verb choice is to declare or decide by general consent. In 1868, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution granted Black people the right to vote. In 1870, Congress passed the 15th Amendment protecting the right. And ever since, our rights have been in jeopardy. poll taxes, and you listed them earlier, literacy tests, intimidation, lynching, all were obstacles to keep us from voting. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act was created to protect these rights. And each year, every election, our voice via the vote is threatened. Today, the day after the election, is the best day to advocate and encourage everyone to understand the power of your vote. If you voted yesterday or whenever your primaries were scheduled, congratulations and thank you. If you were unable due to work or other obstacles, and I will use air quotes, other obstacles that stood in your way, I encourage you to reactivate your voice at the next opportunity. For those who refuse to participate, remember that many gave their lives and continue to do so that your voice may be counted. I challenge you, go to the polls and simply mark present, just to show your appreciation to those who died so that your voice, and by extension, your life, matters. Ashe.
Ashe.
And amen.
And amen.
All Rev'd Up is brought to you by us, the Revs. Our amazing producers are Kyla Wright and Cavante Smalls.
Music for this episode is from Reverend Price's son and musical prodigy, Emmett G. Price IV. All Rev'd Up is distributed by GBH.
Additional thanks to Bob Kempf, Elizabeth O'Brien, May He, Devin Robbins, Meredith Neerman, and Zach Waldman.
If you like what you hear, let us know. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts and follow us at All Rev'd Up Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Feel free to send us a note, a question, or a comment to allrevduppod@gmail.com. We'll be back